The Luck of the Irish and How It Led to One Man's Success. Carey Ryan was the oldest child born to James and Elizabeth Ryan. His father worked as a police officer and later owned a gas station, while his mother worked in a farmer's shop. His family was not wealthy by any means, but for the majority of Carey's life, they could afford to pay the bills and put food on the table. Neither of his parents attended college. Carey began his education in first grade at St. Scholastica School, a Catholic school. He got into the school through a lottery with his church, which paid for the tuition. Transportation was not provided, so he walked. Carey's parents were very insistent on being good Catholics and were happy to find a school that emphasized Catholic values and practices. You could say, and he certainly does, that he got into the school with a little help from his Irish luck. Carey attended North Catholic High School, which was in the city. He took a public bus and walked up 204 steps every day to get to his classes. It was an all-male school, and he was in the A block, meaning he was taught the college prep curriculum. He graduated as the last person to make the top 20% of his class. During this time, desegregation of schools began. Carey was unaffected by this, as he went to a Catholic school, which still only held white male students. A week before Carey was to attend college at St. Vincent's, his family went bankrupt. Carey showed up at the admissions office to withdraw from classes, but a man, who happened to be the Dean of Student Affairs, stopped him and instead offered him a full scholarship for his first year. Without this man, Carey would have never received a higher education. This is one of those moments that he attributes to the luck of the Irish. However, after the scholarship ran out, he was forced to quit. It was 1960, and Carey had dropped out of college. The Vietnam War was beginning, and others his age at this time were getting married to avoid the draft. But he joined the Coast Guard so he could have a say in where he ended up. He stayed in the Coast Guard for about a year. Carey decided to go back to school, this time enrolling at Duquesne University, a large, beautiful Catholic school in Pittsburgh. However, his credits from St. Vincent's did not transfer, so he had to drive 2 hours every day to finish the classes at St. Vincent's that he needed so that he could begin his classes at Duquesne. Carey's parents were still struggling financially due to alcoholism, and as the oldest son, he was responsible for supporting them. So he worked from 4 p.m. to midnight every evening at Mellon Bank. This allowed him to take classes in the morning while still working the hours of a full-time job. Even once he had transferred all of his credits to Duquesne, he continued to work at Mellon Bank and send all of his paychecks to his family, where most of the money was spent on alcohol. Carey's much younger brother and sister experienced a much more difficult childhood as the alcoholism continued to escalate. His brother grew up in the peak of their parents' problems and suffered from alcoholism himself. 8 years since he began his bachelor's degree at St. Vincent's, Carey was able to graduate. He was a history major with a teaching certificate, as he had always intended on becoming a teacher. However, Mellon Bank had helped him pay for his finance classes and had a position for him at the bank, so he went on to become a banker instead. He is an example of the trend of lower-income students struggling to finish college, as it took him 8 years. His last semester at Duquesne was paid for by his fiancée, who refers to it as the best investment she ever made. They were married during one of the breaks of his final semester and are celebrating their 50th anniversary next month. Carey was a very successful banker and moved up through multiple positions over his time at Mellon Bank. He was pictured in the newspaper and was also seen here accepting an award. Carey was also published in a bank administration journal. The job he had picked up in order to support his family became a place where he blossomed and found success. Carey was able to retire at the age of 56 and travel the world with his wife. He has funded the majority of his grandchildren's college tuitions and has already gotten to see one of them graduate, all because of the luck of the Irish.